Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to create a game using my engine. The engine is on GitHub and I will put the link in the description. And as you can see here, Nineedge is not a game engine. This is not a game engine, but it can be used as a game engine. And today we're going to use it as a game engine. So what you want to do is that you want to clone down this repository. I have already done that. I have it here. And what I'm going to do is that, and what you're going to do is that you're going to first install the engine by typing sudo make. First, I'm just going to do sudo make clean just to remove some stuff. And then I'm going to type sudo make install. We need to go into you need to cd into the lib Nineedge inside of the project and then do sudo make install. So now I am compiling and installing the engine, and now we can start working with it. So let's create a new project. I'm going to go to my workspace and I'm going to create a project called YouTube game. There we go. And we're going to need to create some files in here. We're going to need a Makefile to compile the game. And also I'm going to create a folder called src and another folder called assets. So now we have two folders, assets, src, and a makefile. And inside of the src, we're going to need a main.cpp. And we're gonna also have a player class. So we need two files for that, player.cpp and player.h. There we go. And now I'm just going to open this in an editor. And first, whoops. There we go. We're going to put it there. So first we want to write the Makefile. And we're going to make this compilable in both Mac and Linux. So first we're going to store the operating system in a variable. There we go. And then we're just going to print the operating system. There we go. And then we're going to put on some general, we're going to create some general flags. General flags, and this will be there we go. We're just telling it to use C++11. And now we're going to have a if the operating system is equal to Darwin, then it is a Mac. Then the flags will be I already have written these flags, so I'm just going to copy them. This will be in the description as well. There we go. I'm going to put this whole code on GitHub, right? So we're going to use these flags if it is compiled on a Mac. Otherwise, we will use these flags. There we go. The important thing here is to use the L Nineedge. That will tell the compiler to link the 9H library, the engine. Yeah. And also you are going to need to install SDL2, SDL2 TTF, SDL2 image, GLOT, and OpenGL to be able to compile this. I will not show you how to install them. It depends on what kind of operating system you're running and what distribution of Linux you're running. But you should have those installed. SDL2, GLOT, SDL2 image, SDL2 TTF. Right? Then we're going to define some O files. And they will be, we're going to have a main O file, of course. And also we're going to have a main scene. I forgot to create a file before. And we're going to have a player.o. And that's it. And then we're also going to need to define the output. Here we'll put the O files. And this will be G++, the general flags. And that will compile the main CPP file and link the O files to it. All right, there we go. And now we're gonna have to do the main scene.o and the main.o, and this will be source main.cpp. If you don't want to watch me write this, you can just skip in the video. The whole code will be on GitHub and in the description of this video. And then we will compile the whoa, sorry, this was wrong. It should be O files and not the general flags. This will just be flags, and we'll do O. This is the output, so we're gonna have to do, there we go. And here we'll do general flags. So here we're compiling the main.cpp file and creating an O file for it with the general flags. And then the main scene will be main scene.cpp, and it's also going to have an H file. General flags. There we go. And we're also going to have the player. And we're going to use the general flags. And there we go. And we're also going to be able to clean it. And we'll remove all the out files and all the O files. There we go. So now let's create the main scene file as well. So let's start by writing the main scene. Actually, let's start with the main file. So what we're gonna need to do is that we're gonna include the 9-edge engine. And we're going to include our main scene.h. Then we're going to do we're creating the 9-edge object here, and we're gonna want to move the player around later, so we're gonna use the STL keyboard state to do that. So this is what we'll need to define. And then we'll have our main, then we need to create the main method for the 9-edge engine. This is what will be executed on the first, when the application is started. And for now, we will just do just to make sure everything works. And then we'll need to do the main method of the program, the standard C++ one. There we go. And then we'll just do, we are creating the 9-edge object, and we will execute the run function of it. There we go. So now we have our main file. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go into our Makefile, and I'm going to comment out some stuff just to get the thing running. So I'm going to comment out this. So we'll just have the main and the output. And we're going to do that as well. And now hopefully everything will work. Missing separator. Stop. Line 9. So let's see here on my old file. What am I missing? Oh, you have to do that. There we go. We got an error because we're trying to include a file that doesn't really this one doesn't exist. We also need to create that one actually. Thought I did that. There we go. Cannot declare main to be a global variable. So what are we doing wrong here? Let's remove that one now. Cannot declare main to be a global variable. Oh, we need to put int here. There we go, it's compiled. So now if we do execute the game.out file that has been generated, we do see it does start for a while, but then it dies. And the reason for that is that we don't have any scenes. We don't have a scene, so it crashes. So let's write our scene here. Let's start with the header file. So as usual, you do some compiler if statements. So we want to check if our main scene isn't defined yet, and then we're going to define it. And then we're going to include the 9age scene class. Then we will do a forward declaration of the 9age object. And this is because if you do that, you can actually use the engine object inside of the scene later, which can be useful. We might not need it. So this scene is extending from the core scene class, which exists inside of the engine. Constructor. And these are methods that needs to exist, or else it won't work. Tick. And draw and init. There we go. Now let's write the CPP file for this. So of course we're going to include the header file. Then we'll have the constructor, which won't do anything right now. Then we'll do the init method. And this method is executed when the scene has been created, or when the scene is first run. And in here we can instantiate the player later, but we won't do that right now. We're just going to do for now. And then we'll do the tick function. This function is executed every frame in the game. And in here we want to do tick default, which is a built-in method inside of the scene class from the 9age engine. And basically what it does is that it updates the camera and stuff like that inside of the scene. We also want to do the same one for the draw method, and we're going to draw default. There we go. It's very important. So now we got a scene. What we want to do now is that we actually want to use this scene inside of the game. So to do that, we need to go into the main.cpp file. First, we need to make sure it gets compiled. The scene file, the scene class. So let's uncomment these stuff. And now we can go into the main method. And in the main, we're going to create the scene. So creating the object, and now we're going to add it to the engine scene buffer. So just do this, add scene, and you can add how many scenes you want. So now we're adding this scene to that object, the engine object. Cool. So hopefully things will work now. Undetermined if and def inside main scene.h. If and def. Let's see here. Oh, we need to do, of course. And we shouldn't have that thing there. Now let's compile it and run the output file. It still crashes, and it's probably because we don't have any objects inside of our scene. I think that is why. So let's create our player. Let's start with the header file. Actually, before we do that, let me do make clean. Yeah, still crashes. Okay, we need to create an object first. So let's create a player. And now we want to include, the player will be of the type entity. So we're going to need to include that, and then we're also going to need to include the engine class. So let's start with include. That one first, and also entity. Let's create a class which will extend entity. Whoops. Constructor. The entity will have a sprite as well. I think it has a built-in sprite, so we're not going to bother with that right now. So we're going to start by doing the tick, draw, and scene methods. These are methods that you need to have. The scene method is actually deprecated, but we need to use it right now in this version of the engine. There we go. Now let's write the CPP. And obviously we need to include the player. And let's start with the constructor. And now we want to do we want to add an image to the sprite. So this sprite add image load image. You see now we have access to the game object here. So now we're going to need to get some nice sprite to use here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to use one from another project. So I'm just going to download that one. There we go. Now we're just going to type, sorry, assets player, no, assets p2 walk png. Cool. And let's do the tick function. We won't do anything here right now. We just want to make sure everything works. And the draw. And the sync. There we go. So now we're going to go into the main scene and we're going to create the player. So in the CPP, we want to include the player. And then we're going to instantiate the player in the init function. So this instantiate means that we will put an object in the scene, and in this case it's a player. So new player, we're gonna put it somewhere randomly. That will be good, because as you can see in our player, it has an X and Y arguments in the constructor. So we're putting it at X 120, Y 120. Now we're gonna make sure that the player gets compiled. And let's compile the game and see what happens. We got an error. Undefined reference to player, of course. Float X, Y. What are we doing wrong? Let's just make clean. Still, oh, we're not linking the O file. All right. Still crashes. Oh, I think the reason why it actually crashes is because we need to have inside of our assets folder, we need a folder called font, and we're gonna need to download some fonts. This will also be in the description. This is actually hard coded into the engine. I will have to fix that. So now we've got those. Let's go into the, I want to see, yeah, that one looks good. Right, now let's try and, there we go. It actually works now. Cool. So for some reason the player isn't drawn. We're gonna try and see why. I think we're not calling the draw method on the sprite. We're gonna see if we can fix that. So yeah, what you need to do is you need to go into the player.cpp, and inside of the draw method, we need to do this sprite draw delta. Now I noted something else that are this one is wrong. We need to do rm. There we go. Make. There we go. Our player is being drawn. Now I'm just going to make it so that we can actually move the player around. So to do that, let's go into the player and go into the tick method. This is where we'll put our logic. So now what I can do here is if game keyboard down SDL scan code right, then I will do this add force I will push the object to the right. So we're using the built-in physics engine, and if we're going to use that, we need to update it, update the physics as well. So do this update physics delta. This will make sure that the physics is updated. So now I can move the player to the right. So let's make it so that we can move it to the left and up and down as well. So left would be 180 and up would be 270 and down would be 90, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Now we can actually move this player around. So that is how you create a basic game using my game engine, or it's not a game engine, but using my interactive media engine 9H. If you do want more tutorials on this, where we can actually create some more advanced stuff, I will do that. And you can comment and make some comments below and just tell me that you'd like to see more of this. I think I accidentally showed you this before, but if I go into the actual engine, I have some testing stuff here. So this is another game I made using this engine as well. It's a little bit more advanced. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.